Here's the drama that we're dealing with.
So why was the newly elected president of the United States going after ABC's Martha Raddatz? We talked about the Cincinnati rally earlier in the show. Here's Donald Trump.
How about when a major anchor?
Now we'll switch over to Rachel Maddow.
This is an unrequited thing, but I'm just going to say it. There is a woman who I have always admired in this business, who I've never worked with directly. I don't know her personally, but from a distance, I've always thought that she was really impressive. Long stretches reporting from the war in Bosnia.
Now she's setting this whole thing up as if Rachel Maddow is this hero journalist. And notice there's emotion going on in Rachel Maddow right now, which is sort of confusing because I happen to know that these people are highly skilled liars. How do I determine that they're liars? Because of the things they don't report. The scandals of Democrats, the actual treason of Democrats, genocide, rape by Bill Clinton, possible rape, unreported by Bill Clinton, sexual molestations, violent, racist attacks on innocent white people. Year after year after year covered up. You cover up those things, you are liars. But yet somewhere in their hearts, these people are able to gin up real emotion and sense of outrage. So either they're great actors or they really believe they're crap, but you can't believe it without realizing that you're covering up massive amounts of scandals, crimes, atrocities every day. But here we go, back to Rachel Maddow. She's interviewing Kellyanne Conway, of course, for this segment.
More than 25 reporting trips to Iraq.
All thrilled about Martha Raddatz.
Starting with the initial invasion of Iraq, one of the best Iraq reporters we had of either gender. She was the first reporter to get the scoop when Abu Musab al-Zarqawi was killed.
Like, big deal. You know, you're getting paid $1 million, $2 million, $10 million bucks a year. Some of these reporters, who the hell wouldn't want to go over there and report and be the first person on the scene to get some of this stuff? It does not make you a decent person in your heart. It just doesn't, Rachel. But it's a good setup, and actually she totally buffaloes Kellyanne Conway in this whole segment, which is really embarrassing for Conway and also for Donald Trump. Conway is excellent at defending Donald Trump. Let me qualify excellent. 85% excellent. She does not fight back, and I don't think she has it in her to fight back properly against these people. There's Martha Raddatz. The way it should be done, the way it must be done. Folks, this is treason. These are the enemies. Her, ABC News, NBC and CBS, NPR, PBS, New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, Associated Press. All of these people agree 100% every day in their reporting. And their reporting is always against the Constitution, which they won't say directly, against Israel, against conservatives, and against white conservatives in particular. All right, back to Rachel.
She also wrote an incredibly moving, incredibly well-reported book on the battle for Sadr City in Baghdad and what that was like for the first...
Like I care.
Cavalry division fighting that house-to-house battle.
She's almost, you can see the anger right there, just almost sort of in between. The emotion is gripping her somewhere between near tears and some level of weird honesty combined with anger. And I don't understand how they gin that up within themselves, knowing the hateful evil of Democrats and themselves that they cover up every day of the year. I haven't figured that one out yet, how they pull it off, because they're excellent at this. And Rachel Maddow is one of the best. Very smart, very smart woman, very good liar.
And at the same time, what it was like for the families of the first cav back home.
I don't give a crap about this stuff. All of this is to build us up at what a wonderful hero Martha Raddatz is. We're going to get to talking about Martha Raddatz more in the next couple of minutes to see who she's defending and who the journalism world is circling the wagons around.
She's also the only American reporter to have reported from a combat mission in an F-15 over Afghanistan.
Pointless.
She's operating at a totally different level of this business than I am. I've never worked with her.
Untrue. Actually, It's not a different level. You're both nearly equal. You're both very highly skilled. And I say the word neo-Marxist liars, just like all the Democrats. You just are. I don't have time to go into it in detail at this moment, but if you study long enough, you'll find out that the Democratic Party is neo-communism, and so are their protectors in the what I call the atheist media. And I've got reasons for calling them atheist media too. Liberal atheist.
But I've always admired her. She's really been through it.
Yeah, we got that.
Kellyanne Conway is our guest right now for the interview. Kellyanne, I'm raising this issue right now because here is how you're...
Notice we're first into attack mode. Can't be an interview to say what Donald Trump might do for the country, what he's already done for morale, what he's already done to get NATO to change its policies, to get Boeing and other organizations to change their ideas on things. It's direct attack mode. Attack the Republican. Attack, attack, attack.
The boss has been talking about her in public.
Okay, here we go. This is good.
How about when a major anchor who hosted a debate started crying when she realized that we won? How about it?
Slight exaggeration, typical for public speaking, for politicians, typical for Donald Trump. She did choke up and get teary a bit. Now, to say, you're going all the way to calling it crying, that indicates going further, and it's just a tiny bit of an exaggeration. But really, the blame should not be put on Donald Trump here. It should be put on Martha Raddatz and the people who are lying to defend her, or who are blinding their own eyes to what's obvious.
Tears. No, tell me this isn't true.
Now, you will see her eyes a little glassy. That, not in this interview, but in another one. This one. I made it in big because I really want to be able to see the watering in her eyes.
We know from the number of times he's told that story that he's talking about ABC's Martha Raddatz there. Martha Raddatz did not, in fact, cry.
See, that is a lie. And I'm gonna point it out, first of all, that Rachel Maddow does not even show the exact moments or the sound, because the sound's important. You can hear the choking up in her voice.
On election night.
Boom. It's gone, right?
She did not say, no, tell me this isn't true. There were no tears streaming down her face. It's wrong.
Now, that part's right. She did not say, no, tell me this isn't true, and there were no tears streaming down her face, but her eyes were getting watery, and she was choked up, and you'll hear it in her voice. Rachel, why didn't you know that? Or are you lying to Kellyanne Conway? And here's the problem with Donald Trump and Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne Conway has 4 children and a husband, and she's now moving from New Jersey to D.C. And she cares deeply about her family. She is just too busy to sit around like me, like a political junkie, almost an addict, that I probably shouldn't even spend so much time doing this. But she's too busy to do this. But here's the problem. Kellyanne's too busy to do it. Donald Trump's too busy to do it. But both of them have money to hire somebody who is informed. And you should never go on a show like this without first having gotten completely informed about what this woman, this attack dog, was going to pull off. Unfortunately, Donald Trump has got somebody who's excellent as a spokesman, but you cannot go on the programs of these butchers at CBS, ABC, NBC, NPR unless you're highly prepared, and I mean technically prepared by coaches ahead of time, people who have sat around and learned everything that's going on, figured it out, got the right side, inform you. Now you're ready to go on that show, which I would argue he shouldn't do anyway. There's just really it's just silly to go on these shows. In fact, I think he should boycott them all. These are hateful liars, folks. They are hateful, evil, traitorous liars working at ABC, NBC, and CBS. They just are. Millions know it. I'm not the only one saying that. The whole conservative movement knows it. I wouldn't even be doing this video, actually, because there's so many good people out there reporting. InfoWars and Fox News and Drudge and Breitbart, WorldNet Daily and others. But once in a while, those people who are talented and highly informed and passionate seem to miss a topic that needs deeper consideration. So then I crank out my camera and my tripod and get busy on it, because I have this thing in me, and it just makes me nuts when there's something needing to be said and nobody is saying it. So that could be a failing on my part. I don't know what's going on inside me. I think I'm just like a natural person in that way. You know, you see injustice and you want to jump in, set the record straight. Back to Rachel.
Oh, what he is saying about her. But what I'm bothered by is the way he is singling her out, not just with wrong information, but singling her out. Is this how even a reporter like Martha Raddatz is going to be treated by this president?
No, and
right there. That's a bad start. I watched this yesterday for the first time, and my heart sunk a little, because it's highly disappointing. Here she is, Kellyanne, apologizing for Donald Trump having told the truth. And unfortunately, he probably just got it on a quick report and believed it, whereas he's done this a few times over the campaign and turned out to have been wrong, like all politicians will. So in this instance, instead of researching it, what they've done, his team, and I guess him as well, just assumed that this was another instance when he may have gotten the story slightly wrong. So they're caving to the idea without realizing that the warriors in the liberal media are building up a myth right now about what happened with this Martha Raddatz incident. And let me get this in. It really doesn't matter the crying part. These people can be shown to be liars day in and out, year after year, all the heavier during the Donald Trump campaign, thousands of times. So it's even a little bit wrong for her to get into an argument on this one isolated issue. But it's all the more wrong to be in error and be made a sucker for Rachel Maddow and the atheist media.
I would have updates, but they're privately held.
She would have updates. What she's saying here, but it's privately held, and anybody can figure it out, is that Donald Trump caved on this issue. He got conned. He got conned. The Mr. Businessman and his very capable, mostly very capable spokesman got conned on this incident. And more than this incident, on some others too. Speaking of that word, what's that guy's name? Khan, the Muslim, at the Democratic National Convention, where he criticized him, and then the media went all over the place saying he was criticizing Gold Star family, but they wouldn't say he was a Muslim. They also didn't say that Khan lied about Donald Trump, and they also didn't say that he did it on stage on live TV at the Democratic National Convention. All they said was he criticized the Gold Star family. Donald Trump lost that round too, like he's losing this one.
We've been discussing this with ABC News. I've talked to.
They're discussing it behind the scenes, and wrong.
The president of ABC News about this directly.
With the president. Discussing it with the president of ABC News directly. This is like formal apologizing from the president-elect of the United States to skilled, professional, atheist, neo-communist liars who are trying to destroy the Constitution, Israel, any conservative that stands up against the New World Order, the global elite. And they're calling the President of the United States, the President of ABC News, and apologizing.
And I've talked to the President-elect, and look, we all have enormous respect for Martha Raddatz.
Bad move right there.
As a journalist, everything you just said about her would get a +1 from me.
A +1 for, well, all that stuff is pointless. None of it speaks to her integrity. This is a woman. Let me see where have I got it here. This is a woman who was a moderator. No business being a moderator at a debate, because none of these people. It was a giant disappointment to me when Donald Trump even allowed reporters from ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN to be moderators, because they're proven liars. And not knowing that Donald Trump is nearly inexcusable. Not just liars, but the enemies of America. You've got to get those facts in your head. You have it sort of in your heart, but you don't have the facts to back it up. And you've ended up backing down in numerous instances in confrontations with these deceivers. Here's somebody who's got it right.
Well, here's the context, and we'll show it to you.
Howie Kurtz does the Media Buzz show on Fox News. Now, this is somebody who's supposed to be holding the media accountable, but he's unfortunately from a liberal background. He does not understand the depth of the deceit going on in that business. So he ends up sort of defending them more often than not, and he just has no business being in this role on any channel, daring to suggest that you're correcting the media. He tries, but it's not in his knowledge base to understand it quite well.
It was late on election night, and Martha Raddatz, ABC correspondent and anchor who spent a lot of time in war zones with the military, was quoting Tim Kaine as saying that his own son was serving in the military.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And he, Kaine, wouldn't trust Donald Trump as commander-in-chief. And then
Tim Kaine is the Democrat vice president candidate in 2016, and like all Democrats, lying traitors. Doesn't matter what he says. They lie, and they're good at lying, just like their cousins are in the liberal media.
Added this, so let's play it for the viewers.
That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps.
Right there. See that? Now let's go to the big screen. Where is it? Right here? And then start her up.
Bringing this back to Martha Raddatz, of course, you question Donald Trump closely.
Speaking is, even though they don't tell you about him, his background very often. This is George Stephanopoulos, #1 counselor to President Bill Clinton. Lied for Bill Clinton for years. ABC hired him. So this is who's speaking right now.
On this during the debates, but right now we have American troops on battlefields in Afghanistan.
Look how they try to tug at the hearts right there. You get at your emotions, get the audience behind us. We're good people, we care about the troops.
And Iraq, fewer than before, but still there.
Yes, we do. And Donald Trump, I questioned about what he would do in Syria.
Right there, see that? Look at her eyes. This woman is already near tears. Now, it isn't about Tim Kaine. They're going to tell you it's about Tim Kaine, but it's really about the fact that they've just reported that Donald Trump won the election.
His understanding of military policy and civilian-military divide.
Right there. He's choking up. Look at the face.
I don't know that he really has a plan for what he's going to do there. He has General Mike Flynn. General Mike Flynn has been with him. He'll quickly tell you he has 200 admirals and generals.
There's choking up going right here in her throat this whole time. I know it because I'm a human, and I've cried and I've choked up before, and we recognize it in each other. This is pretty simple stuff. Unless you're the liars bent on defending this situation.
Backing him. I think Mike Flynn has been a huge influence on him. I was also looking back and at an interview Tim Kaine gave. Tim Kaine has a son in the Marine Corps.
Defending traitors. It's important to realize Democrats are the enemies of America, just like the Labour Party in Britain is the enemy of England. They're just trying to destroy their own countries. Donald, you need a highly informed, sort of brash advisor on your staff, and one under Kellyanne Conway too. Otherwise you're going to get your ass kicked for the next 4 or 8 years, like G.W. Bush got his ass kicked for 8 years and essentially helped poison the country by allowing these professional liars to turn the entire nation against Republicans, getting them to lose the House in 2006 and ushering in Barack Obama in 2008. You can't go on like this now. I can see that there's this awe in you, and you might be overwhelmed by the power and the respect, except for in the media, and Democrats and liberals are paying to you. It might be going to your head. It would mine. I have big trouble, getting over areas where I'm given authority or admiration. It's difficult for humans. A lot of them are better at it than me, though. But I think it's getting the best of you now. You've got to stay tough, but in order to stay tough, you have to be right. Not about every detail, but you have to know how to turn arguments around in your favor. For example, when these people start saying that something bothers them, like talking bad about a Gold Star family, you have to turn it around right then. You don't even continue down the road that they brought up. You say to them, you look them right in the face, and let's say it's George Stephanopoulos, and you say, George, you don't care about Gold Star families. And he says, what? You say, you don't, because there are Gold Star families who said Hillary Clinton lied to their faces about their dead families, and you wouldn't report it. So you prove in your own self. See, that's how you turn this around. You just flip it over on them. You don't even have to defend your own position. You just call them out for the hypocrites they are. I don't know why you don't practice that strategy, because it's like a sword that would cut their lips off on the first sentence. All right, let's get back into this.
He was asked by John Dickerson, so if Donald Trump is democratically elected and your son is serving as a Marine, you wouldn't trust his life under that commander-in-chief? And Kane said, I wouldn't.
Right there. She choked up a bit right there, didn't she?
That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps.
There. Nailed it. All right, we're going to go back 10 seconds.
Under that commander-in-chief, and Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps.
Bam! That's it. Hey, folks, you're human. You've cried. You've seen other people cry. That woman is choked up at that very second. And it wouldn't really matter. I mean, it sort of matters if you're like all into this, as some of us are. But it wouldn't really matter on the great scheme of things, except for the fact that they've chosen to create a myth in order to have their 180th avenue of attacking Donald Trump over this incident. And that's why it matters more than it would otherwise.
And that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend.
Come on. How can you say this woman isn't choking up? How can anybody say this woman isn't choking up right there? Where are we at? We're at a minute, 12 seconds. Let's drop back 10 again and go back up there.
Under that commander-in-chief, and Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps, and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
Bam! You're out of there. You all lose. All right, let's close this one out. We're done with this one for now. That's the real event from election night. Back to somebody who knows what he's doing. No, actually, let's go back to Kellyanne.
And we do have enormous respect for her and her colleagues at ABC News. I think anybody who watches just this past week, the job she did sitting in for her colleague on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, it was a tour de force in how you interview people right, left, and center.
A tour de force. Look at this. She's just heaping praise on Martha Raddatz.
She's
about issues you know something about.
She's among the best that we've got in this country.
This is just sickening. The fact that I have to do this is just stunning to me. That our country is filled with that much darkness and evil. That we have 300 million people, and you've got this media elite and the Democrats, and 90% of Republicans who are colluding to destroy the country while lying to the people of the country. And it's eerie to watch. It's sort of exciting to watch. I'll give it that. But the depth of deceit these people will go to, and having conned Kellyanne Conway and Donald Trump into buying this one is a bit of a tragedy if it portends what we're going to be seeing over the next 4 to 8 years.
I completely agree with you, but I would like to broaden the conversation, if I may, out in terms of...
Wait, are we going to get an apology from the president-elect on that? I mean, he's telling a story about her that is not true, and telling...
But he's telling a story that is true. All right, let's go down to this one. Somebody else that knows that it's true.
And that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
Back to Howie.
We're back with the panel. Aaron McPike, what do you make of Donald Trump seizing on that moment and making it that Martha Raddatz was crying about his election?
First of all, she wasn't crying, and there were no tears, as he said. And Matthew Dowd, who was on set right next to her, went to Twitter and said, I was sitting right next to her, and she did not cry.
So now we've got this woman who either doesn't know what she's talking about or she's lying. And then Matthew Dowd, who works for ABC, who is, in my experience, a known liar. Member of the deceit operations at ABC, NBC, and CBS. But at least one person on this panel gets it.
ABC came back and said she had been on air for 7 hours, and so her voice may have cracked.
Ah, you did see her voice crack, but it was more than that. And it was more than once.
And I think that's as far as you can go with that one.
Well, right.
Yeah, right. How could you sit there and say that? We all saw this just now. Did you see the clip?
Raddatz herself says it's fiction, and she didn't even choke up.
Raddatz herself is saying it's fiction, and she didn't even choke up, Raddatz is saying.
She kind of looked choked up to me, but everyone can make their own choice.
She kind of looked choked up to Howard Kurtz, who doesn't really understand the depth of the spiritual war that America is in, and Europe, and the Middle East, and other parts.
What's your thoughts, Sarah?
This is one person who understands it. Sarah, coming up.
Well, I think the real problem is you pair that with the debate performance where she decided to debate Donald Trump herself. And
she absolutely did. And here's another error on Donald Trump's part, because despite his claims that he won these elections, debates, he didn't really win the debates. He did pretty well in the second one. He didn't do at all well in the third one, unfortunately. He did not practice the tactics he could have. Martha Raddatz was so blatant in the debate that she moderated. Again, no business letting these professional liars moderate debates, Donald. But she was so blatant in arguing for Hillary that if Donald had been on his game, he would have turned to Hillary and said, Mrs. Clinton, would you mind loaning your podium to Martha Raddatz for a minute, because she obviously wants to be in this debate on your side? That would have been a knockout home run that would have ended the election before November 8th. Right there for exposing these liars. Certainly would have helped. But he didn't do it, and he allowed her, and even when the Fox News Chris Wallace got on and did the third debate, Chris Wallace has no clue the level of evil and deceit going on at ABC, NBC, and CBS. So Trump allowed himself to get whacked 3 times in 3 debates. This person knows it. Thousands, if not maybe millions, worldwide know it. You can see it. You go to videos on YouTube. You go to Daily Mail in Great Britain, and you look at the comments underneath them, underneath the articles, and you look at 100, 200, 500 thumbs up on comments of people who know the truth and who are lambasting these professional liars in the atheist elite media and the Democrats. Lots of people know it. They understand it. This is one of them.
well, I think the real problem is you pair that with the debate performance where she decided to debate Donald Trump herself instead of letting Hillary Clinton debate.
Why do they have to say we're going to be attacking Mosul within the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is what they're saying? How stupid is our country?
There are sometimes reasons the military does that. Psychological warfare.
I can't think of any.
It might be to help get civilians out.
And we have, look.
That's what created the foundation for this argument that she cried. I think she sounded like she was choked up.
I think
that's a little bit of an overstatement.
Howie, a little bit of an overstatement because she sounded like she was choked up. Should we bring out that clip again? Golly, I guess we should, right?
Extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military...
There again.
The Constitution.
Let's go back and look at where we are right now. Let's
full on choked up. Howie, a little bit of an overstatement, he says. Sorry, Howie, you missed it. Now let me show you somebody who may not be as faithful of a servant, and he did not get hired by Donald Trump, but this is somebody who knows how to take on the media. And he also got tricked by the global warming hoax, which Donald Trump may end up getting tricked by as well. But I can understand why Trump was hesitant to hire Newt Gingrich, but you need somebody with this kind of live skill to take on these people.
But Mr. Trump has been continuing to ramp up the rhetoric and tweets and speeches. Senator Jeff Sessions joined the course yesterday saying they are attempting to rig the election. So who are they, and how are they doing this? Bam!
Now watch what he does here. That Donald Trump has not done, that Kellyanne Conway has not done, that Howie Kurtz has not done, that nobody at ABC is ever going to do. Matthew Dowd or George Stephanopoulos or the people at or David Muir on the ABC World News Tonight. Professional liars whose job is protecting Democrats and getting Democrat traitors elected to destroy the Constitution, while the people in the press demoralize the people and con them into voting for these traitors. Back to news.
Well, I think they are the news media. This is not about election.
Boom! They are the news media. Who is behind the rigged election? They are the news media.
Officials at the precinct level. This is about last Friday when the networks spent 23 minutes on the Trump tape and less than 1 minute, all three networks combined, less than 1 minute on Hillary Clinton's secret speeches that were being revealed in WikiLeaks.
Now, watch this. Martha's not even going to care about what he just said.
You look at that and you say, I mean, I think it's amazing that Trump is as close as he is right now, considering the one-sidedness of the news media barrage. And the best description of it is by Barry Castleman in his blog, where he said this is a coup d'etat. He said 14 million citizens in private ballots picked Donald Trump. 20 TV executives have decided to destroy him.
But you say it's not at the precinct level, but Trump has also told...
Right back to Trump. See, what he just said is the media, they spent 23-1 minutes on a Trump scandal and basically ignoring Hillary Clinton's giant expose of deceit all through the Democratic Party and the media that came out in John Podesta's emails, and he just laid that on her live on ABC's This Week, and she spins around, ignores that whole thing, and goes right back to Trump. Because they're good. These people are very good liars. And you, Kellyanne, you need to know that, like this woman knows it, and like Newt Gingrich knows it. Anyway, I didn't want to make this video because there are other people out there that make better videos than me, and they get a lot more views than mine do, so it just sort of seems pointless to me. And I spent all day yesterday talking myself out of doing this video, and for some reason I saw a little bit of it, a little bit of this argument again while watching news this morning, and I don't know, I'm like pulled. I'm pulled to do it. Sometimes I wish that wasn't true, but then again, it's nice to have some sort of a passion. Well, here I am. I'm pitching in on this. If somebody does it better, great. Get it out there. If somebody has more viewers, a lot more viewers, hopefully, then get the word out there that this is like item number 862 in the series of lies, hatred toward and lies told about Donald Trump in the years 2015 and 16 so far, and we got a lot more coming. You can count on that. I'm out of here. Set the record straight. Martha Raddatz, all of these people, ABC, NBC, and CBS, highly skilled, neo-communist, atheist liars. And they're circling the wagons to protect this woman who did get choked up here. Obviously, everybody can see that. But that's not even the crux of this matter. The crux of this matter is what Newt Gingrich just said. 23 minutes to 1, and a whole media cabal colluding to take out a candidate for president of the United States and put a neo-communist traitor, Hillary Clinton, in power like they put Bill Clinton, her husband, in power, and like they put Barack Obama in power. It's sickening what's happening. It's pathetic. It's exciting. It's fun to be part of. But it's wrong to get stuck on this one incident when the bigger picture is the fact that these people are traitors to America. And you got to prevent yourself from getting sidetracked by one issue, because that's how they play the game. They pick on you for one issue and they find a teeny little 5%, 8% of what you said wrong, and they nail in there and they hammer and they whip on you and they drill and force you to defend that 5 or 8%, when that sidetracks from the main discussion, and it's the fact that we're dealing with traitors. And you got a lot of help. You got Media Research Center, and they own Newsbusters. You got Breitbart and Drudge and Fox News and InfoWars, and all these people helping out this growing army of people, the resistance against this evil deceit that did conquer America over the last 50 years. You got all those people behind you, so stand up and let them fight, and get 1 or 2 of them from one of those organizations, or some nut who sits around and learns from them, in your office to fill your people in before they go out for this interview right here with a trained hatchet man, a trained executioner in Rachel Maddow, or Chris Matthews, or even Martha Raddatz, or George Stephanopoulos, or any of these people who do these interviews, Chuck Todd, who's also a very good liar on Meet the Press. You've got to have your people getting armed before they appear on these shows. I would recommend not going on any of their shows, completely boycotting them. It would be brilliant, it would be powerful, it would be world-shaking. But if you're going to go on, you've got to be better prepared. Kellyanne, you're pretty good at what you do, but you need to take care of your 4 kids and your husband by your own desires, and you do not have enough time to get properly informed for this war that you were in. So at the very least, get somebody walking along with you to be constantly filling you with updates. What's been said in the last 10 minutes? What was said yesterday before you go on these shows? All right. Au revoir.
If Trump wins, how about bursting into tears and screaming fuck for the next 45 minutes?
Well, America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.